Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast, where we dive deep into topics surrounding kindness, compassion, and creating a more humane world, whether it's in our communities, in the workplace, or in the world of animal control and shelters. With our hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And Ashley Bishop.
And I'm Daniel Ettinger. This show is sponsored by Tomahawk Live Trap. Check them out, livetrap.com. Oh my goodness, it's the three of us back at it again. Wisconsin
Yay!
Bishop is back from the gas station, shining shoes, working at casinos in Vegas. How are you? Been busy.
I am thankful that I am not working at the shelter this weekend. Um, so somebody just, I don't know why it was decided this, but we don't have air conditioning in the dog area. We have a return air system,
Oh,
and we spray the kennels with hot water,
oh no, this sounds
and we
horrible.
and we have heated floors, which I don't know if those get turned off in the summer or not. But today is a heat index of like 110 degrees here.
Uh,
So I am thankful I'm not at work today.
How do
Good
you
to
keep?
know.
How do you keep the dogs like from overheating?
Um, that so we have big fans that are going constantly. Um, and I mean, yeah, they're out there panting, but it's not like we're not talking like 100 degrees in there.
Okay.
Honestly, it's like according to the little temperature things, it's only like 73 to 75 degrees and like 100% humidity.
That's
Yeah.
crazy for Wisconsin, I feel like.
Oh my God, dude, it's crazy for June
For
in
y'all, really?
Wisconsin. Oh yeah, like maybe end of July, early August, we could expect temperatures like this for like a week or two. But literally a week and a half ago, it was 40 degrees during the day. And later this week, it's going to be back down in the 60s.
See, this is how they invented cottage cheese up there in cow country.
Ew.
Tomahawk Live Trap, they're celebrating their 100th year in business in 2025. They're a family owned and operated business who work with humane professionals around the world to produce the safest and most effective animal handling equipment available. You can save 10% on their products by using discount code Keep It Humane. That's right, Keep It Humane in all caps, no spacing. You can visit them online at livetrap.com or call them at 800 272 8727. Also, check out our website, keepithumane.com. Keepithumane.com/cat2. We've talked about that. We're trying to raise awareness for spay and neuter services for people so they don't over over hoard. Can you under hoard?
I mean, yeah, if you have animals and your house is a horde, so yeah, sure.
You can
Yeah.
under hoard and not over hoard. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read a story the other day of a county out in West Texas. Of course, rescue gone bad. They removed 56 animals in really deplorable conditions. It's been a week, guys. And sorry to everybody. I didn't put a poll out on Friday. This week has been absolutely nuts. Yes, last night was absolutely nuts. So yeah, it's been interesting.
I was going to ask because the week before was crazy, and then I know this week has been crazy because normally we're good at like chatting with each other throughout the week, but this week has been kind of like you know that I was dealing with some stuff on. Whoa, man, we'll talk offline about that one. That was a crazy one, and it's just and then it's like it comes in waves, and our guest I'm sure will be able to share some of her own stories too, as well as just dealing with like the craziness that comes with the job.
For the record, guys, we are 3 days before the new moon. So
It's well,
3 days
yeah.
before to 3 days after a new or full moon, shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I'll when we get offline, I'll let you guys know what happened last night. It's pretty interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, we will introduce our guest who was having some technical difficulties, so they should jump back on here shortly. Or they were just like, you know what? Maybe this podcast isn't for me, which would be funny, but at the same
By the
time,
way, I just do need to point out that it is June Dairy Month in Wisconsin.
June Dairy Month.
Yeah, so we have an
Oh.
entire month for dairy. So like
Like it's just dairy.
so a lot of different farms will do like a pancake breakfast for
Mm,
people to come out and see the farms and the animals, and ice cream is a big thing right now this month, and like today for my kids 4-H group, because it's dairy month, we are having ice cream as our snack. Like that is guaranteed every June
mm.
meeting.
That, I mean, I would die there just because, like, I wonder, is there anyone in Wisconsin that's actually lactose intolerant, or do they just get like
Tim's
banned
la
completely?
Tim is lactose sensitive.
Okay.
Um, and to some degree, even my kids have some lactose sensitivities. Like they can't do the custard from Culver's. I know you guys don't know what a Culver's is, but it is one of the
Mm.
best fast food restaurants in the area.
No, I've heard of Culver's.
I'm not.
They have one in. I think my kids really enjoy it. They have one in Denver.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They sure do.
Okay, now I need to Google this because I thought it was just a Midwest thing.
Well, Denver is kind of Midwest.
No, it's
Denver's kind of
not.
its own thing.
I was gonna say Colorado in itself is kind of its own thing.
Yeah,
Fair.
I love me
this is
some
true.
Colorado though. Fort Collins, beautiful city.
By the way, Tomahawk Live Trap is in Wisconsin. I don't know if they have air conditioning in their buildings, but I do
Oh,
feel for them right now because they are metal buildings.
Oh,
So I'm hoping that they have decent air conditioning. I can't imagine Kyle wouldn't, but my God, if they didn't.
I mean, Kyle's so cool anyway. He doesn't really need AC.
This is true. This is true. He is a pretty cool guy.
yeah, metal buildings in the summer's not cool. Our dog hall is not climate controlled either. It is just a large metal building with, I probably have like 16 ceiling fans and 3 or 4 big drum fans going.
Mm.
It's
Hmm.
hot. It gets hot.
Well, and so Ashley, I know I had talked to you when you were looking at things for building
Hmm.
the new building and stuff, and I had said, maybe stay away from the heated floor. Um,
Hmm.
I was not aware at that time that we had a recirculation system versus a no air conditioning. So take that into consideration when you make your decision on the heated floor. Um,
Yeah.
but I really truly feel like the heated floor has something to do with why it gets so humid because it just
Hmm.
It's using what, and
evaporates.
it's using water to heat the floors too. Like even though they're in tubes, like they're still. I wonder if there's like some way of it sweats, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
sure.
Ah,
Yeah.
all
I don't
right,
know.
our guest is
Uh,
back. Our technical difficulties have been figured out. That'll be cool. We'll get her all potted up here.
yeah. One of
Oh,
our new facility guys, had recommended a heated floor. He's from the Northeast.
Mm.
And I was like, well, it would be helpful like 2 weeks out of the year
I was
for
going to say
us.
you don't need that in Texas.
I don't know, man. The freeze that we had a couple of years ago where I almost DAD'd because of the freeze and I had no heat and we were in our building and it was like minus whatever degrees and it snowed and I ate shit 3 times trying to walk dogs
You were
in
probably
the
out there in
snow.
Crocs though. Like you gotta.
Absolutely not. I had my boots on.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
gotta be
So
careful.
you are correct. There is a Culver's in Colorado. There's actually Culver's in now 26 states, but
Yeah,
it's a, I think, Wisconsin based.
yeah.
I was,
It started there in
I was gonna
Yeah, it
say
Wisconsin.
it's
started in Wisconsin.
The Whataburger of Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Yeah, but you got to have a because Culver's has a better brand of beef makes a Butterburger better.
What did you just say?
A better brand of beef makes a Butterburger better because Culver's has a Butterburger.
All right, we are not sponsored by Whataburger, but we are going to introduce our guest. So, wow. Um, Audra is so I just that name I love it because my daughter's name is also Audra, so I get like kind of
Really?
like yeah.
I didn't know
Audra
that.
Audra is the director of Pinal County Animal Control in Arizona. She's also the secretary for the National Animal Care and Control. Association. And yeah, we have that connection, Audra. So welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you and I met after I named my daughter Audra. So just throwing that out there. Um, I've known you for a few years,
Mhm.
and we've seen each other at some conferences and or on social media. But we really wanted to have you on because I think you definitely have like a really cool overview and take of the profession, and your story too of how you kind of got into your role is I think is inspiring just for anyone in the industry who wants to continue career growth. Can you talk a little bit about your like kind of how you got into the profession and then how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I started in 2011 as an animal control officer after being in retail for like forever. I
You
worked, huh?
you figured you could handle one kind of animal so you could move on to the
Yeah,
easier ones.
yeah. I worked grapes. So during the day, I was bored and I'm like, I want to do something. What do I want to do? And I was like, well, I'm not really into children that much. I don't have any kids. I love my niece and nephew, but I'm like, I'll work with dogs. So I went to a municipal shelter and volunteered. And then I went for a ride along with an officer. And after that, I was hooked. I was like, I want to educate the public. And I started looking for jobs, and Pinal County was hiring officers. So I got hired on there. And the rest, I got promoted within 6 months as an FTO, a field training officer, and then I was a field supervisor. And then the director, she left in 2015 to go to Franklin County Animal Shelter, and she put me in charge as interim. And then, like, they left me in there because nobody really wants that gig. So
You know, it's
I remember.
crazy. Our paths are very similar because I started as a volunteer. Like my exposure to supervision was FTO work, and look at us now. Look at us now. We're both
Yeah,
balling.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So
Talk
yeah,
a
Same.
it's been fun.
talk a little bit about Pinal County. Like, what's the major city?
The major city that we're in is Casa Grande, but
Okay,
we're like smack dab in the middle of Tucson and Phoenix. So we're right in the middle. We're an hour from Tucson. We're an hour from Phoenix. We're in the middle of nowhere, literally. And it's like 7 miles off the freeway, off the
okay,
10 to get to my shelter. So we don't have high traffic, unfortunately, but we, we're not like, we don't have Pima's money. We don't have Maricopa County's money.
sure,
you know,
yeah,
we're
Mhm.
about 500,000 is our population, and we're a municipal shelter. And we contract with all the cities and towns that don't have animal control. So
okay.
we are a muni, and I don't know. I'm proud to be a muni. I
Gross.
you know,
I love
Uh,
it. I love it too. I love the work. I mean, municipal work
yeah,
is just, it's a different kind of beast.
yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So what is y'all's intake like? Are
Was
you heavier
just
on the
gonna
dogs or the cats or vice versa?
Definitely heavier on the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started as director, we were taking in over like 8,000 animals a year. Now it's down to like four. We cut it in
Nice.
half, you know, but we also don't like euthanize everything either. We try not to. So, but it's a real challenge right now, to not euthanize. We had a distemper situation, and
Oh
just
no.
last week we got pan Luke, so we're
Uh,
kind of can't catch a break this summer.
I know. I feel like it's everywhere. Like right now, we're seeing a lot of it. Luckily, knock on wood, everybody knows I'm in Texas, but man, we haven't been seeing a whole lot. But I think we've had a couple of Penlow cases come through, but it's this summer we're exploding. It's been a lot, as I'm sure it is for everybody. Dan sent us numbers the other day, and I was like, oh God, I can't even
Oh,
imagine.
yeah. So on average, how many animals are like in your shelter at a time?
Right now we have about 360 dogs. We only have
oh,
149 kennels. So if you do the
wow.
math, there's like a ton that are like
Oh,
co-housed, you
Yeah.
know, and we have about 30 cats. We don't really have a cat problem for
Okay.
some reason. It's kind of
so
nice.
what do you have for staff? How many staff come in on a daily basis to clean that?
We have 12 kennel techs, and we have about altogether, we have about 42 staff. So
I feel like
We have,
you're
Which,
the type of director that goes and puts some scrubs on and gets
oh, I
out
do.
there. Yeah,
I do all the time, every day.
I can tell.
I'm out there scooping poop, making bowls, washing dishes. I don't think the team likes it because one time we were in a
mhm,
meeting and they're like, I said, I like doing dishes. I'm not checking up on you guys. And they're like, I don't know. I feel weird. Like when I
Yeah,
walk in and you're doing dishes, I'm like, am I not moving fast enough or what? I go, no, I enjoy washing dishes. I don't know.
yeah.
staff
And
is the
Yeah.
same.
and
They're
I
always
think
weirded out.
there's a lot to be said with, a director that gets dirty. Like you said, sometimes staff will look at it as like I just did a ride along with an officer, which was really cool. And I know some officers appreciate it, but then others will probably think like, oh, he's just trying to like see how I do my job. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
I just want to get out in the field, see how we
Right.
do things. So I get it. Yeah,
But I feel
absolutely.
like as a supervisor, like that is the best way to be able to keep yourself grounded
Mm,
and in the business. Like, because how many of us, and I had the situation previously when I was the humane officer. Nobody had an idea of what I did. Nobody had any clue what I dealt with on a day-to-day basis because they never did my job. They never came out with me.
hmm
Hmm.
So that keeps supervisors grounded, I think.
hmm
Yeah.
So I think that's
Absolutely.
awesome, honestly.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that I think every staff, and even when you do interviews, I let everybody know just because I sit in this chair doesn't make me higher than anybody else. We are all equals and we all help. We all do the dirty work
hmm
together
hmm
because
For sure.
that is who we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Audra,
Yeah.
talk really quick about this new law that was passed. So give some, if you don't mind, give some kind of foundation or background on where it was prior, because it sounds like it's a really great victory for the state of Arizona.
Oh,
Mm,
it is, and it's so many years in the making. I am a volunteer for the Humane Society of the United States as well, and so I'm really well, whatever they're called now, Humane World
Or,
for Animals or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get used to it. But
Me
anyways,
either. I'm with you.
yeah, I'm with HSUS. Anyways, I was fortunate enough to be able to like be in a lot of the legislation stuff. And for a few years, we've been trying to get a law passed. We're not trying to get a law passed, but we're trying to clean up the actual law as it is now. So right now in Arizona, because it has to go to the governor's desk, but I'm pretty sure she's going to sign it. Our animal cruelty laws basically say um, failure to provide food, water, shelter. That's it. What is shelter in Arizona? It's
Mhm.
like, is it an igloo where they're going to bake to death? I mean, what
Mm,
what exactly is it? So for years, we've been trying to get them to say, potable water, food fit for the species that's,
mhm,
edible, and shelter. They could stand up, turn around, be protected from the elements. And there was one portion of the bill or of the law that says about medical care. It said something about causes protracted suffering, and that word
mm.
protracted, we don't, what does that mean exactly? So
in
It wasn't
animal
a
welfare.
protractor. Wait, wasn't that the thing you put the pencil on with the
That's a
point?
protract.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
No.
That's the
yeah,
what is it?
what
That's
does
the
that
thing.
even mean? Yeah,
Yeah, in animal welfare, I've never heard that at
I
all,
know it's
anywhere, I don't
weird.
think.
And we have like ranchers in Arizona and cattle
Mhm.
people and farmers, and they didn't want anything to do with any animal cruelty. So they kept putting towards all of the legislations, maybe their campaigns, I don't know, but they just didn't want anything passed. And we had to say it's only companion animals, it's not livestock, it's, not cows. It was a whole thing, but finally, and then they wouldn't hear it. And then it would pass the Senate and it'd go to the House and they wouldn't hear it. And then it'd go to the House and pass and they wouldn't hear it in the Senate. It was terrible. So we finally got everybody on board. We did have to change some things that they wanted, but it wasn't really anything that different than what it was. So basically now it states exactly what type of shelter, they can stand up, turn around. It protects them from the elements. It's, you know, and the medical from protracted, it's unreasonable suffering. So not protracted, unreasonable. So we can now cite them for unreasonable suffering if they didn't take their animal to the vet. So that's when they did not do the food or water. They left it the way it is, but they do have to have water. They do have to have food. We just wish it could have said something different, like potable, but It's okay.
It,
We'll take
and
the
So
win.
yeah,
the one in Wisconsin, ours is basically must have food and water sufficient for healthy living. So
That's more than what we have.
I like that.
when does
because
it?
that,
When does
sorry,
yours?
Dan.
I was just curious. When does it? What's the next round in this?
So it goes to it's going to the governor's desk. And then if she signs it, then it'll probably take a little while to
Okay.
be put into the law, but at least I'm pretty sure she's going to sign it. I don't know why she wouldn't, but
Yeah,
yeah. So yay.
that's awesome.
Finally.
Yeah, good to you.
Yeah, I know. I've been following this too for a little bit because there's an organization down in the Rio Grande Valley that I think has been pretty involved in y'all's legislation. And to come to find out, how lacking it is, and a lot of times state statute is really, here in Texas again too, we have to battle a lot of the livestock individuals who are like, no, it's a cattle dog, and it does this and that, and it doesn't need this or that or this or that. So I feel you on that. But congratulations to y'all and everybody who fought to get that done because I know it's exhausting.
It is. And it was rough, but we pulled through. So finally. Now, if we could only get them to stop letting animals be sold in pet stores,
Hmm.
Mm.
but
We have
that'll
that.
never happen.
We
So
that
we have
failed our legislation this year.
we have it, and I'll tell you what, it works. The problem is now you have to try to find the people that are doing it underground, right?
Yeah.
Because they're still going to do it. They're just going
Yeah.
to now find other ways, word of mouth. They'll put it
Right.
on Facebook Marketplace until it gets taken off.
Right.
I don't know if people still use Craigslist, but
A lot.
do they? Yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
another
here in
place.
Texas, it's a
Yeah.
big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another place. So it's hard to be proactive in those situations because we don't have a strike team that can go out and do this undercover work. Man, that'd be so cool if we did. But so then it's being reactive to those moments where you're getting that, oh, they're posted up over here on the side of the road with puppies for sale or whatever they're doing. So, but it does help. And I think one of the things that I've talked about for years that I think would be really cool. And everybody has like a small area. I don't know if you have it in Wisconsin because it's just different up there, but like a little main street where like there's bars, shops, restaurants. I would love to see animal shelters evolve into having satellite offices, or satellite shelters like a pet store in a place like that to capitalize on
That would be
exposure.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great.
like our shelter specifically actually works with a lot of local businesses.
Mhm.
Like we've got Wild Birds Unlimited and a couple of the vet clinics and things where they will foster an animal in a cat specifically, and people can come in and visit there and then get adopted. Um, and we've actually had great success with that, and we're starting to see. I was really disappointed because when I was the humane officer, there was a place that was trying to start up a cat cafe
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they were going to have cats come in from a shelter or rescue to be adopted. And she actually had a really great business plan, but of course, my city did not want to deal with it. And so they fought her. So she went to a different city, but she is working to get cats adopted that way too. So we
Yeah.
do have some options like that.
Yeah, we passed legislation for no sale of cats and dogs in any kind of place. So us and our sister city are both that way. But to the cat cafe thing, it's interesting to go through. We went through it and it was the the individual who headed it, bless his heart, he tried really hard. He worked with us tremendously. He was an amazing human being. It just didn't pan out. It really didn't pan out. And um I wish there was something, there's just so many variables, especially here in Texas. We have so many things rampant all the time, Panluke, ringworm. I mean, it's just, and he went through the gambit of it, unfortunately. And then, of course, there was the one red tabby. Why is it always got to be a red tabby? That's got to be an absolute monster. And, it ended up being his downfall, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be that too, but I don't know. She was willing to make all the accommodations that I wanted and the health department
Hmm.
wanted. It was just city inspections department that was struggling because, well, my city's dumb, as we all know. If you've listened to any of our previous podcasts, you should be well aware of the stupidity that comes out of my city. But that's another topic.
I want to roll into this topic about managed intake. And Audra, you presented earlier this year at the Best Friends Animal Conference, Best Friends Animal Society annual conference. I think
Yeah.
that's the name. Before I do that, Texas Bishop put up a cool poll. Try to say that 3 times fast. About I'll read the poll to you because I think it all kind of blends in, and so we'll talk about that. And the poll was, if someone attempted to surrender a pet at your organization but was told the animal could not be accepted for whatever reason, and then that they end up abandoning the animal, would you pursue abandonment charges? And so 40% of our responses were yes, always pursue charges for abandonment. And then 54% was it depends on the situation. Then 5% said no, and then 1% said they were unsure. So I think it just leads us into that managed intake conversation, which I think is a great conversation. And I think a lot of shelters operate under that guideline.
Yeah.
And so, just if you want to jump in, Audra, what's your
Sure.
take on it, and how long have y'all been doing it there in Pinal County?
We've been doing it since about 2019. And the reason why we started doing it was, this was when it was kind of in its infancy for when I was director or when I was director then. It we didn't I started thinking about it and I was like, you know what? Because people were coming in and they were surrendering like 5, 6, 7 dogs at a time. And they just were not friendly dogs or they've never been socialized. They don't walk on leash. And so what are we supposed to do with them now? And after a while, I just started thinking about it. And I was like, our ordinances and laws don't say we have to take your dog if we don't want to. And cats are free roaming, so we don't even have to pick them up if we don't want to.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna. And so we started charging $20 for cats. I had to, of course, pass it through my board, but they agreed. And then we don't charge for kittens because those are super easy to get out. So we don't really, we charge the $20 to go towards their spay neuter surgery. But as for dogs, we were charging like $65 and then $20 for every animal after that. And I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. So now we do charge $100 a surrender, and people pay it. I mean, if they want to get rid of their dog that bad, they're going to pay it. But that's going towards the spay and neuter, the care, you got to vaccinate it on intake, Pyrantel, Simparica, the whole 9. And it's expensive. So what we started doing was we told everybody that they're going to need to make an appointment. And then it got out of hand. I mean, like out of hand. We had people waiting like 6, 7 months to surrender a dog. And then we finally were like, that's too much. We're supposed to be public servants. That's not serving our public, they need help. So we started kind of tweaking how we do things and everything. And it's always a tweaking situation. And now just this last couple of months, we're starting to tweak it again because we don't they're never going to wait any longer than 6 weeks. And the reason they're going to wait 6 weeks is if they're like, I'm moving in 2 months and I can't take my dog, or I just don't have time for it anymore. If it's an actual emergency, of course, we're going to let them bring their dog in. We wouldn't turn them away,
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
Go ahead, Audra.
I'm big on like public service. That's like the big thing. So I don't want to harm our public. That's not what we're there for. But they do have to be held accountable, and they do have to be a participant, in the surrender of their pet.
Absolutely. And I think, we've had this discussion amongst ourselves, and I have it with the staff all the time, back where I'm at. And I just feel like sheltering has gotten to a point where we have become the crutch because, and I'm not going to speak for the others or you, Audra, but the excuses that I'm getting are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I took a phone call, and I think I've talked about it on the podcast, 14-year-old Pomeranian. They wanted to surrender it because they were moving into a house, a brand new house, and they didn't want to ruin it. That is the type of things that we are getting. It's not the highly emergent, I have to, whatever the issue is.
Right.
And I think it's gotten us to this place where we're at right now, where we're not holding people accountable. I don't think that shelters were ever meant to take in owner surrenders unless it was an absolute emergency. We are here for the strays that truly have nowhere to go, like absolutely nowhere to go.
Right.
And I feel like it's bit us in the ass.
Right.
Have you ever got the one surrender? Well, I just got new flooring and I don't want my dog's nails to ruin the flooring. I was like,
Mhm.
what? Oh, oh,
Yeah, that's crazy.
some of these comments from people. It I mean, we're in new times, and we have to also remember like animal sheltering is still new in the aspects of like it may feel like it's been here forever, but the reality is it's only like 200 years old in this country, and so we're still figuring things out in the
Yeah,
aspects.
I saw your presentation on that. It was really good. It was really interesting.
Thank you. Oh, the history that
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. I love the history stuff, and I mean if you know your history, the first animal shelter in this country, and it's still in existence, is the Women's Animal Center in Philadelphia, which was
Hmm.
started by Caroline Earl White, who wanted to get involved and was told no, and she was like, okay. So then, because of the timing, like in the 1800s, women couldn't do stuff,
Right.
uh, and so she got 30 other women or 29 other women and they started their own. Not only did they start their own animal shelter, they did investigations for like cruelty to livestock and horses and stuff. So she was a trendsetter or you know, uh, whatever the word you would use, like an inspiration
Hmm.
in that aspect, and proved that she could do it. And what I like about that is like it kind of talks to us where we're at today with all the changes and all the difficulties that we deal with. Somebody could be the next Caroline Earl White or the next Henry Berg or the next George Thorndike Angel to say like, what are we going to do to progress us to the next point? And what you're dealing with in Arizona, what Ashley's dealing with in Wisconsin, or Ashley's dealing with in Texas, or I'm dealing with in California, like we're all almost dealing with the same thing.
Mhm.
Where
Yep.
we're packed, we're literally packed to the gills with animals. We can't
Yep.
get them adopted fast enough. We do these amazing adoption events. We get our numbers down by hundreds, and then within 2 weeks, we're back up to being full again. And so for me, I always go to the access to care piece. Like, how do we provide low cost, no cost spay neuter services in our community? Is that something you have in Pinal County? Is there
We
anyone?
do, but there's a shortage of veterinarians, as you all know. So it's really hard to provide reasonably cost services for the public. We recently had a renovation and we got a vet room, and it's beautiful. But as a municipal shelter, we're not allowed to work on owned animals. We can only work on our animals. So it's hard. We do give out vouchers. We do have one city right up the road, Eloy, their city council was gracious enough to put $25,000 towards spay and neuter for their citizens, which we schedule the appointment and then we bill them after. And I think that's definitely a start. I think that every city and town should be responsible a little bit for the pet overpopulation and offer free spay and neuter or reduced spay and neuter, because I mean, $300 for a spay is ridiculous. And people that are struggling, they can't pay that.
Correct. That's groceries for the month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, and I feel like I feel like there's such a disconnect between the medical community and the sheltering community. While we all are trying to work together, I still feel like there's just a huge disconnect in that. I mean, luckily I'm in the Mecca. I have a vet school right down the road from me.
Oh,
You're just
wow.
the
So
wait, you're just the Mecca. You don't need to have the vet school, bro.
shut up. You're absolutely crazy. No, I'm not. I'm just a girl in the world. Um
Right.
I don't know where I'm at on your screen.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, and we talk about it a lot, the access to care, is a responsibility of everybody. And for us in particular, in Texas, I feel like we just oversaturated everything. I mean, what household doesn't have a pet, whether it's a cat or a dog or a ferret or a bird or reptiles or
Right.
whatever the case might be? And I just feel like the industry itself hasn't really caught on. Um, as far as the vet med side of things, because they are our only hope, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The only way to control this without euthanizing animals is to get the population under control. And if we can't do that, we're not getting anywhere, period.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's hard. And we get around it. If somebody needs to surrender a pet, we'll ask them, well, what is it? And like one guy just last week, he's like, my dog keeps getting pregnant and I keep getting these puppies and I just can't do it anymore. I got to give her up. And we're like, well, why don't we just get her fixed for you and then
Yeah.
you keep her? And he's like, oh, okay, I could do that. So what he does is he'll bring it in, he'll sign it over to us, we'll get her spayed, he'll adopt her back. That's kind of how we get around it.
Mhm.
Interesting. That's interesting. We had a person last week. We knew he had called to see if his dog was there. We gave him um a description and we left a voicemail, never called us back. Lo and behold, his dog gets fixed Monday. He comes pick it up Wednesday and is absolutely livid, saying we
Mhm.
ruined his kennel and everything like that.
Well, he should have come and got his dog,
Mhm.
Exactly.
know?
I mean, and we're battling that type of attitude as well. People who are
Mhm.
coming to pick up their dogs, and for us, we made it mandatory microchip. Before you leave, we will waive the reclaim fee, mandatory microchip, because at the end of the day, if this dog gets out again, guess what? You're getting a citation.
Yeah. And we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We microchip them on intake. We don't even ask. We
Okay.
just, and then they'll come in and they're like, yeah, I'm here to get my dog or whatever. And we don't really do reclaim fees. So
Mhm.
we just want the dog out. And
Kudos to
we'll
y'all
just
too.
say,
That's awesome.
yeah, we'll just say, oh, hey, by the way, your dog was microchipped. Here's the information. Here's where you register it, because we don't charge them either. And we've never had anybody really get upset about it. Maybe one guy, he was upset because we microchipped his Mallies and he was mad, but I
Is it,
mean,
do you have it as state law that they, once they're released from the shelter, they have to be microchipped?
no.
So you
Mm-mm.
Ours
do
is
it.
just policy.
Yeah.
We just do it because we know that at least they're going to have a chip when they leave,
Hmm.
So whether they go back to the owner or not, whoever ends up taking that animal, they're chipped. So
Okay.
they'll
And
always come back to us at least.
Yeah.
and I know that there's grants out there available too to shelters to get the microchips free to be able to give them for free.
Right.
So, you know,
Right. Yeah.
check that out for any of the little shelters that are sitting there going, oh yeah, that'd be great, but I can't afford that. There are grants available. Reach out to the microchip companies specifically. So we offer like anybody can come in and say, hey, my dog's never gotten loose, my cat's never gotten loose, but I want to get a microchip. We offer a $10 microchip for that.
Mhm.
But then any animal that gets reclaimed, we can offer a free microchip because we've got grant money for that. So
Hmm.
that is an option out there.
Yeah.
I I kind of want to go back to the, you know, your managed intake,
Mhm.
but you have like double the amount of dogs to your kennels.
Right.
And
So you're
this may
trying to
be
do the math, trying to, you're like,
this may be a sensitive
yeah.
subject, but like, do you think that with that number of animals, you guys are able to provide the adequate and necessary care for all of them with the amount of staff that you have?
Yeah. So yes,
Okay.
we have different programs in place for enrichment for the animals. We do the Dogs Playing for Life module of like
Mm-hmm.
the play
Mhm.
groups, and we also have public dog walkers that come in every single day, any day of the week between 6 and 9. We'll hand them a dog that's, a green dog deemed a public
Mm-hmm.
walker,
Mm-hmm.
and they can walk one, they can walk five, they sign a waiver. We also have program coordinators, and their job is basically to walk dogs, provide enrichment, and do play groups. That's their job. And we have 5 of them. So we definitely do. Now, being so full, obviously we have to put out deadlines. And these are dogs that, are losing their mind in the kennel,
Mhm.
like just consistently spinning, jumping, like they're a redirection problem for when we take them out,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yep.
just need to get out of the shelter. They're not necessarily a bad dog. They just need to get out of the shelter, you know.
Yep.
So we do, but we used to, like let bite dogs go, depending on the severity of the bite. And now we're not so inclined to do so because we're so full. We can't necessarily put the resources into a dog that is a biter that bit somebody just because they walked in the house. I mean, we have to like weigh the options. And we do have meetings every week, and we do talk about all the dogs that we feel are declining. And as a cohesive group, we kind of like talk about what are our options, and we do put our lists out to the public. And for the most part, a lot of dogs leave, but then a lot of dogs don't. And then sometimes they leave and they come back. And, so, I mean, like I said, we're always tweaking the whole thing, just how we work. We're never going to settle on one thing and go, yeah, this is great, this is how it works. No, we're always trying to improve.
So Audra, on those like urgent dogs, like, have you seen, because, I see a lot of here personally because we're in the Central Triangle. So I'm between all the major cities, Dallas, Houston's on my east, Austin's to my west, San Antonio's to my south. We
Wow.
get a lot of, we get a lot of people who are saying, I saved this dog, is about to be euthanized at this really large shelter. It's going absolute, what, what do I do? Are you seeing any backlash from that kind of thing? When you put these urgent dogs out that might have just like one or two corks and they don't know what they're doing and it just gets worse.
You mean from the public?
Correct.
Like, why are you going to euthanize this dog, or the way they like to put it, why are you going to kill this dog?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Like, are your urgent lists kind of getting that pushback? And if you're having people who are, making that leap of faith and then they get in too deep and they're like, oh shit, I can't handle this.
We definitely have that, but it's not as bad as you would think it is. We get the once in a while, we'll get them, I thought you're supposed to be no kill, or I thought you're supposed to be this or that. And we explain to them what exactly is going on. And, we get some haters. We don't get as many as you would think. But as for the people that take the dogs, that we try our best. We try our best to get them to understand what they're getting into. And some of them, they're in over their heads. They'll come back the next day and go, well, it didn't get along with my dog. Well, that's because you didn't bring your dog to meet it. They'll get in over their heads, and they know if they bring it back, it might not be a good outcome for the dog. We are very transparent. I mean, I go on our social media and I just basically tell it like it is, and I'm not going to hide anything. Why? I mean,
that's what I like about you in the aspects of when I met, like you're not shy about expressing what you think, and you do it in a way that I think is tactful and polite. And maybe that works for the community too. Like they just need to hear it, especially from the director. And I wonder, like, what do you think there'll be a shift in our profession? Because we can't keep doing this. Like, we can't keep operating at 100%, 100% kennels.
200%.
Or for her too. Yeah. Like, but, and I really want to be sensitive about, and those who listen to the podcast know that I talk openly about the terminology of no kill or the terminology of save them all.
Right.
And I think that has an impact on what we do. And I'm not here to bash it, but I'm just here to understand, like, what can we do differently? How do we provide, what is the relief? Like, how do we get out of this funk nationwide?
Yeah, I know. I truly feel that money should go into like mobile vet clinics.
Absolutely.
I would love to see money go into a mobile, and they go to like at least a couple in each state, and they go all over the place, and they offer free spay and neuters or reduced spay and neuters for their costs. But a lot of veterinarians, we do low cost vaccine clinics, and we usually stop in the summer, but we've got rabies really bad out here right now, where these animals are like actually biting people and coming back positive. So we've extended it to different areas of Pinal County so that people could get and we offer like $10 rabies, and Petco Love is sponsoring free vaccinations, parvo distemper and the cat vaccine. So it's free to them. And, I feel like when you go to the vet, it's like $50 the second you walk in the door, maybe a
Yeah,
hundred. I don't know.
just
I
for
don't know
the
about
exam.
California, maybe 200, but
Oh, girl, you got to
insane.
put your house up to go into the vet here.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, they can't even walk in the door without paying like $85. And then that's not even doing anything, that's just for the exam. And I just feel that that's just so sad. What happened to the days when veterinarians were like the mom and pops that wanted to help the people, and their pets? I just feel like it's all corporate now and it just kind of
Well,
sucks.
it's
So,
we had a good friend of the show and also another podcaster for the Animal Welfare Junction, Dr. G,
Dr.
Dr. Michelle.
G.
Yeah, Dr. G. She has this service. She owns the
Mhm.
Rascal unit. Like this is her baby, and they go around all through Ohio. And I think it's a model for other states to look at. And maybe that is a long-term goal for her is to find a way to get this out throughout the country because what she's
mhm,
doing, she's so smart about it too. Like she's one of the most brilliant minds we have in our profession. She's not
Absolutely.
obviously the doctor aspect of it, but the animal welfare aspect, like she's amazing. And then, but when you look at what she's doing, she's literally going to those communities that are underserved and providing the service. Like you wouldn't need to take the Rascal unit to Calabasas in California. You need to go to Compton, right? Like
right,
that's where you need to be. And
right,
so she's doing that in Ohio, which basically is all of Ohio. No,
right.
just kidding. I say that because I'm from Pittsburgh and we make fun of Ohio. But in all fairness, like the model exists, and I'm sure some other states have it, but that's where I'm at. I'm like, how do we recalibrate and refocus that time, energy, and finance into creating programs for more veterinary students? Like I know both Ashleys hear me say this all the time, having scholarships for veterinary students available to like encourage that and then having whatever the word is
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
create programs like Dr. G's using or doing in these communities that need that help.
right,
I
right.
You
just feel
know,
like it's so, oh, go ahead, Lee.
no, go ahead.
I just feel like it's so multifaceted, and I look at it, we're part of the Zoitis shelter program and we jumped on really early, thank God. Um, and I look at the pricing of what we're paying compared to, let's say, what a vet clinic's paying. It's outrageous, and it's no fault to Zoetis because I'm sure they're just following everybody else's footsteps at this point. It's so multifaceted, and it's hard for me. I'm really in the middle because I can see, I've been living this for what, almost 16 years now in animal welfare. Like Audra said, when vaccines were like $12, you can go in and boom, like you get everything done, you're in and out, or you just have those people that are like, I'm here for a rabies vaccine. Okay, let's go shoot it up in the car and get it out of here. It's not like that anymore, and I feel for the vets too that are trying their best, but they also have to survive too. And I'm like, what middle ground do we have at this point? We're all pushing and pulling. Everything is just money. We have lost the sense of community in everything that we're doing right now. And at the end of the day, it only hurts the animals.
Yeah, for sure.
I, I had an idea a while ago. Our technical college had come to me and said, what could our vet tech community or our vet tech program do to help the community? And I had brought up this idea of not having care and having easy access and low cost access to it. And I'm going to put this out there so that if anybody out there has the ability to go forward with this idea, please do and make a name for yourself and expand on it. Um, our technical college has a dental hygienic program where they have created a bus that travels around and they can go do dental cleanings for people. I said, why can't we make this a multi-purpose vehicle that the dental hygienists can use it, but also the vet techs can use it? We can do very simple things. We can get education for the vet techs. They have to have a DVM to be able to do any of their coursework anyway. And they can go around and use the same vehicle. So you're utilizing costs across multiple things. So you're getting, funding from multiple areas, making it easier. You're getting the education out there, and you're most importantly getting it out to the people that need it the most. And, I know we're talking about all this education and this low cost stuff, and there's people out there that are going to say, oh, well, but how are we not taking money away from the vet clinics by doing this, by saying this? I believe it was HASMA, the, oh God, what is the website?
Hasma checked the website lately to remember it.
Dan, it's been a while since I've had to do the continuing education. The
Mhm.
the Humane Society Veterinary Medical website.
Association? I don't know.
Um, anyway, they do trainings. They are working with World Humane now, or Humane World
Yes,
for
Hasma. You're
animals.
right. You're right.
Okay.
She has, but it
Um,
the whole time. I'll stop. I'll stop. I'll stop.
they had they actually did a specific webinar about the fact that we're not taking away money from vet clinics by offering low cost, because the reality is the people that can't afford it aren't going to those vet clinics anyway.
No,
And some people still have this expectation that they want to have their animal at a vet clinic. And so they're still going to go to the vet clinic and not use these mobile services, these low cost clinics, things like that. So we're not hurting anybody by offering these. We just have to find a way to get them out into the community.
I agree. Definitely. It's hard. We have U of A vet school, which is in
Hmm.
Tucson, and then
Hmm.
we have Midwest, which is in like, I don't know, Glendale, Phoenix area. We do have a law in Arizona that passed a couple years ago that they will forgive $100,000 of their schooling if they stay in the state of Arizona and they have to work at a municipal shelter for 2 years and a humane for a couple of years.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
So that
amazing.
is good,
Yeah.
yeah. So we do have that at least. But again, it's hard. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, pun
I
intended.
we can I want to change gears a little bit though. I feel we could talk about this for another couple hours.
For sure.
You're also the secretary with the National Animal Care and Control Association, NACA.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just talk about like the current things NACA's doing, and I've heard some great things. I know that they
Hmm.
recently did the second annual summit at the Humane World for Animals conference in
Yeah.
Vegas, and I mean I've heard really great things from people that have attended it all over the country. Uh, Lights out.
Sorry, my husband walked in and turned off the light.
He's like, it's time. He's like, it's time to go, honey. You said you were only going to be an hour, and here we are.
No, 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 no. Go ahead, Dan.
No. So, like, what do we have going on as far as? And actually, I saw this and I was really impressed by it. NACA also put out a position statement on officer safety recently as well.
Yes.
So, I don't know if you want to start there or just kind of general, but I've seen some really good things coming up.
Yeah. Well, honestly, we owe it all to Jerica Owen, the executive director. She's the bomb and she's out there in California. But I mean, I came on in 2020 and my very first meeting was, we're broke. We have no money. If we don't partner with somebody, we're going down. And I was like, what the heck did I just sign up for? It was like I was like, what is happening? And then, we didn't partner with anybody because, whoa, did we get some backlash on that? We
I
just didn't.
remember this actually. I
Do you
remember
remember that? Oh
they
my
were
gosh, it
they
was
were going to
so
partner
bad.
with it was a
Um,
DC
Animal
Humane
Animal.
Alliance, right? Or
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
out of DC. I
yes,
remember that. Yeah.
yes. And basically, we all voted no. We're not going to partner with them. We're going to try to turn NACA around. And then we hired Jerica, and she's been phenomenal in getting us up where we are now. We have focused a lot on, because everybody's like, why don't you guys have conferences anymore? Well,
Mm,
they cost so much money. They
they do.
cost so much money.
They do.
And we just don't want to frivolously spend money. So we focus on state associations a lot now, and we offer scholarships to officers that want to go to the state associations and can't afford it. We did the summit. That's the last two times we've done the summit. It's great. We've had some really good feedback from it, and we're trying to do it like the first few days before Expo,
Hmm.
so that they can either stay for Expo or they can just do the summit. But it's been really good, and we did put out that position statement because we feel that so many animal control officers are not offered the proper equipment and safety equipment that they need just to do their jobs. I mean, look at that one girl in Florida that got mauled
Uh,
by a dog. That
yeah.
just
Yeah.
is so upsetting, you know? So we thought it was very important to put that together. And Jerick is great. She sends it out to everybody and she says, put on here what you feel is necessary. And then we add, we take away, and then, you know, we put it out. And it's been a really amazing process, you know. And I've made a lot of friends from being on the NACA board. A lot of lifelong friends, I feel like Spencer Conover, Josh Fisher, Michelle Dawson, you know, they're just all wonderful people. And I don't know. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I don't necessarily like being secretary because I hate doing the minutes, but
Oh
other
yeah.
than that,
The minutes are
I
rough.
like it. Every year they're like, "Who wants to be secretary?" And they're like just voluntold me all the time because nobody
Well,
wants it.
the good look in 2025, just buy a small program. AI will do it all for you.
Right.
It literally it will. I'm sure it doesn't even cost that much money. So I'm just throwing that out there for you.
Yeah.
Save you some time and money, and then you could focus. What do they have coming up for this year, or is there any? I know elections will start in like October.
Yeah. The elections are starting in October. I'm not up this year, next year. I think I'm up next year. But yeah, elections in October. We also have like a bunch of different conferences. I'm going to Kentucky in
Hmm,
September. I, you know, she said I need a couple people to go to Kentucky. So me and a lady named Inga Frick, we're going to Kentucky to the state association.
nice.
And then there's always AWA. That's in November. And it's in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll be there supporting, you know, I wish that we could have a little more officer stuff in AWA, but whatever. Wait,
I,
what?
I,
Oh, no, not you.
Oh,
I can
okay.
see Ashley's dogs are clearly throwing a fit, but I was just
if
letting her
you're
know we
watching
can't
on
hear them.
YouTube,
Yeah,
yeah, if
yeah,
you're watching on YouTube, there's a lot of commotion behind. Well, it's blacked out by her cool background, but yeah, she got a Chihuahua wrestling match going on behind her.
honestly, I thought my dogs were going to be barking, and I'm shocked that they haven't this whole time.
Well, it sounds like there's some really good things coming, and yeah, I definitely I've had several conversations with Jericho over the years. I don't know if you recall, um, I was invited to a NACA board meeting a couple years ago
Yeah,
by
I do remember.
Kristen Hassan, and um, that might have left a bad taste in some people's mouth just because I was like, look, y'all, because at that point you weren't there. Y'all were not at any of the state organizations. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, you're always on social media talking about being at AWA or being at these large ones, but you're not hitting the people that you really represent. And I'm really glad to see that you're there. Like, every
Yeah.
time I go to a conference, there's a NACA booth now, and somebody is there, and that's good to see. So,
When
uh,
I first got elected, I'll never forget one of my states was Arkansas, and I made a phone call to, do you know Mike Wheeler?
of course, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely,
So
yeah.
I made a phone call to him. I didn't know him at the time. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm with NACA, newly appointed on the board. And I was just wondering, what can we do for you in your state? And he's like, you suck. You never come around. You never do this. You never do that. And I was like, whoa, I was like, holy moly, and then I'm like, well, do you want to be on the board? And he's like, I do. And so I remember we had somebody drop off and I appointed him or I nominated him and he's on the board and now he's vice president. And he is so great. I love Mike. But yeah, that was kind of like, whoa, okay, tell me how you really feel.
And I think when it's done in a way that it sounds like it was from a passionate place with Mike, and
Yeah,
I've only shared a few chats with him, but he seems like a really authentic dude, and hopefully I can have more conversations with him in the future. And I think as we continue to get people like you and him on the board, from what I've heard, like that's the type of impact that we need. There was a
right.
lot of there from what I and this is just coming from not from me specifically, but there were a lot of representatives on the board that weren't animal control people, and
Hmm.
so it's nice to see the animal control people back on the board
I
for sure.
agree.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Ashley's, what do you got? Anything?
I know, it's always great to have somebody from the municipal side, Audra. I'll probably be reaching out soon to just get some, what you doing, what's working for y'all, because, the struggle's real in municipal sheltering. It is real, and we have to band together and help each other out. If something's working for your community, we can try it out. We're always big purveyors. What works for somebody might not work for somebody else, but you know what? Have your ears open. You never know. You never know when
Right.
somebody has an awesome program that can work in your communities.
Exactly. And honestly, I mean, we're all in this for the same thing. We just want to
100%.
help animals, And back in the day, like when I first took over, I'd go to these conferences and they'd be like, "Oh, where do you work?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm the director of," and I'd say like, I didn't want to say municipal shelter because we
Yeah.
were so bad, we're the
Yeah.
pound. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
now I'm freaking loud and proud, man. We're great. I
Yeah,
love it.
I love it too.
I wish we
Municipal
could,
works fun.
yeah, I wish we could harness some of that passion for others. And I think it's looking at it through a lens of like instead of it being negative, finding the positive in it. So, just being optimistic about the future. And it sounds like you really have that. And we need to harness
Mhm.
that and get more people to be optimistic about our work
Less
for sure.
cynical.
Yeah, less cynical for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Thanks.
Is there anything we didn't cover you want to make sure our listeners hear or know about you or any of your organizations?
Yeah,
No,
or
I think
anything
we're
NACA's
good.
got going on coming up.
Well,
Nothing. Well, just state associations.
yeah.
We did get to go to Australia once. Mike went to talk at their state conference, and that was cool.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But
Yeah.
no, nothing like really. Just the state association stuff right now.
Well, if they see you at a booth, come say hi.
Yes,
Um,
please.
yeah, and learn about NACA as well. So, well, we really appreciate you joining us. Remember to check out keepithumane.com. Go to our social medias and like, share, rate the podcast. And as always, we like to say, let's
Oh,
help. Yo, skirt.
Oh, I thought of
Yep.
one thing.
Yes.
So, yes, with NACA, I am doing a webinar in July, and it's like overworked, overcrowded, how to help your community on like barely a budget. And I am doing a panel discussion with Misty Valenta. I don't know if you know her.
Okay.
She's
Yes, Williamson
from,
County. Whoop, whoop.
yes, she's wonderful.
She is
And
amazing.
also, and I know you're going to know her, this one too, Faith Wright. She used to be in Palm
Yes.
Valley.
Yep, I
So
used to work there.
yeah, so they've been trying to get me to do this webinar for like 2 years, and I keep going, I don't like that topic. I don't like that topic. So finally they said, okay, we'll do a panel of community service. And they're all, who do you want? And I asked Faith and Misty at Expo, and they were both on board, thank goodness, because they're awesome.
They
And
are.
so we are doing that. I believe it's like July 7th or something like that, but you could look on the NACA website to see.
And that's nacanet.org, nacanet.org.
Yep,
Do you have to, can you join as a non-member to that as well, or do you have to
of
be a member?
course.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, so check that out, nacanet.org. Um, all right, well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
great.
me,
You
guys.
bet. A great episode. Welcome back anytime. If you ever have updates you need to share or like to share,
Sure,
you're
sure.
always welcome to come on, and we're happy to chat. I feel like we could have chatted easily for another hour, no
Oh my
doubt.
gosh, for
Honestly.
sure. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was nice meeting you, Ashley's.
You too.
The bishops. Well, all right, girls, take it away.
Help people.
Help animals.
Keep it humane.
Keep it humane.